Yesterday I was working on this one to recap. So these were from my yard. Here's a mammoth. When you turn it, you get like a cat's head and the bear head and whatever else that's supposed to be meant to be. There's this is like really ancient stitched leather. I'm just pointing out. So that one, and then here's this, and then I had to put like the ink in because nobody can see what I'm doing. Mega theorem, and when you turned it over, she has a baby on her back. So there's messages in these. I found other artifacts that had the giant sloth's baby riding on the mother's back, and I'm finding that as a pattern. So then you have to look at the sides too. There's hidden animals there. When I turned it over this way, she became this cat head. You can actually see this is a layer that's been stitched on. So the cat head is carrying something in its mouth. Cat head, there's its eye. On this side, when you turn it this way, this becomes a nose, that becomes an eye. This mark where she's sitting on her tail becomes a mouth. What animal is that? Okay, so where this is mega theorem, there's another sloth called Megalonyx, which I don't think is as big as the mega theorem, but very similar. Other things, this one's untouched, it just has, but I'm just showing you how they look before I do anything to them, and I think I'm just going to leave that one plain. But that's some kind of animal head. You can kind of see it's like nose, open mouth, and ear there. What it is, I don't know, a bear maybe. This, it looks like a bear head, but it looks like the outer surface has kind of peeled off. Like it deteriorated. And I've seen other people show me artwork that has that same deterioration, or it might be preserved in a different area. Mine might have been the right condition to keep them like this. They don't come out of the ground looking like this. I have to wash them and coat them with artist medium. This one just had this weird shape about it, and it took me a while to get to this conclusion. I mean, it's really pretty, and just trying to trace. Like a head here, and then flip it over that way, complete opposite. And then what I was trying to point out is like these spaces here turn into like open mouths. So just look how bejeweled that is. And I'm just adding a little paint to kind of highlight that, what looks like rocky, like a rough surface on a rock. actually becomes like beautiful embroidery patterns. You can kind of see how that's swirling around. And then I went to this cat head. Again, this looked like just something rough and beaten up. So I just did a little bit of tracing with black. When I turned it this way slightly, then I noticed this cat's teeth. One was here, and even the eye had dimension. And you can see like right along the edge there, it's just like really fine stitch marks. Like this must have been like maybe a jewelry or ornament or something. Don't think I did anything. Oh yeah, it's something like you can turn, but I'll just call that the money shot right there. My paint job is not that pretty, but it revealed a lot that was lost. And again, if you're not going to appreciate that, just think of how old it was. Old enough to see mammoths. That's old. Old enough to see megatherium. So I'm going back to this one here. This one I saw, and it's emotionally charged. I mean, really. I found this with a bunch of other like flat stones kind of in a circular shape. And what I think it was it must have been circling around like a grave. I didn't get it now. I get it now. I didn't get it then. Because when I was opening these things up, I thought, oh, dinosaur bones, you know. Sometimes you have to learn the hard way. So you've got a profile along here. Mouth, nose, and eye. So I just like put a little ink on this to highlight the information. And then you've got this, what looks like a very sad, like a grieving mother. And there looks like a child. And if I zoomed into this detail, you can see tiny, tiny little threads just like circling around these things. It's like what it looks like is this child has a headdress on, and I believe that's like a form of respect for the dead. And what looks like is this, it looks like 1 foot up, 1 foot down. Maybe the dress is kind of blowing in the wind. So there's like an indication of clothing here. I can kind of make out braids like on either side of her head. The detail's very tiny, so it's not easy to catch. Well, what I couldn't understand was what was going on up here. This almost looks like a mammoth head. Maybe it is because it's all layered, but when I washed it, this is like a spirit, a godhead looking down on her. You can see that the nose, and then there's a mouth, a chin, and then, you know, there's indication of an eye there, a cheek. That looks like, you know, that looks like a braid. Somebody's looking down on this person here. And then you turn this, and then it's like the face is upside down, looking at this person here. I think what happened is like you take the leather and they would kind of wrap it around the shape, and that's why you kind of have like this. I guess if you're sewing, you'd make like darts. So I kind of see this kind of dart pattern going around, and then you can kind of see like the threading going up. I'll zoom out again, where I said this looked like a profile along here. I turned it this way. Now this becomes an animal nose. There's the mouth, eye there, ear there. And I have another artifact rock with garnets in it or something. It looks a lot like this with the kind of protruding nose. It's almost like a cat of some kind. And when I turned it over, I found this a lot. The guardian bears, what I call their sleeping. I found a lot of those, and I believe they were placed with remains of the dead. It's just my belief. That's how I'm feeling. I just call them guardian bears, and sometimes they're not bears, they're cats or something, but it's something that's sleeping. I think this nose was meant to protrude a little bit more. If it was something soft, it could be flattened. But I see a mouth there, a nose, that's kind of formed. There's a nostril going up, an eye. And then you still have like a profile this way. Nose, eye, mouth over here. But paint stuck to in there. I was trying to trace this detail, and you can it has like some very interesting geometric shapes. I know it doesn't look like much, but if you ever see like a quilting pattern, that's kind of like what's going on here. And I will remind you again, if you're going to think it's funny or whatever, again, that's how old it is. And there are thread markings in this mammoth. So if this is how things were preserved in my yard, this is another part. I was holding this up, and I found this like up north near, getting towards Massachusetts, with all the garnets in it. Looks like an odd shape, but here's an ear. That big garnet is an eye. There's some nice teeth here. The one there, one there. You can kind of see the zigzag pattern of the teeth. Nose up here. Then when you look at it, you start to see these little zigzags. What if those are beads? No, I don't know, but it's something to think about.